Hello and welcome to Daily News Simplified, the what, why, and how of the newspaper analysis from the civil service examinations perspective. So, today we are going to discuss the Hindu Daily edition dated 2nd April 2023 and also the important topics from the Indian Express Explained section of the last week. The topics which are to be discussed have been displayed on your screen, and the timestamping of the same has been provided in the description box below. So, now let us begin our today's discussion. This topic has appeared at Indian Express Explained section, and the topic is in relation to the deep sea mining. The topic reads United Nations to start allowing deep sea mining operations from July. This is the very immediate context of this article. Experts believe that in the absence of any deep sea mining code, the United Nations decisions to take deep sea mining operations can lead to huge disasters. After so many negotiations, International Seabed Authority has decided that it will start taking the permit applications in July from companies that want to mine the ocean's floor. But the issue is that still we do not have the mining codes in the place. So in this relation, we shall discuss that what do we understand by deep sea mining with the help of all these maps and diagrams. We will also understand certain key facts related to the International Seabed Authority for the prelims examination. Further, we shall also discuss the way ahead to deal with all these issues. So we shall take our discussion forward. We shall come to this particular map later on, but first we should understand that what do we mean exactly by the deep sea mining. Now, deep sea mining is basically extraction of minerals from the deep seas. Now, what is deep sea? If the minerals are extracted from the seas below or beyond the depth of 200 meters, we call it as deep sea mining. So basically, it means that if any mineral is extracted from deep seas, that is beyond 200 meter of depth, that is from the sea surface up to the 200 meter, this is not considered as deep sea. Beyond this 200 meter, we will consider it as deep sea mining. So if the minerals are being extracted from the depth beyond 200 meter, we shall call it as deep sea mining operations. Now we all know that the minerals, for example, manganese, chromite, nickel, copper, iron, cobalt, etc. All these minerals are getting exhausted on the surface of the earth. Plus, we also understand that when we talk about the demand of these minerals are increasing day by day. For example, with the rising industries, let's say of smartphone industries, these minerals are very important. So, in today's world, when we say that we are witnessing the Industrial Revolution Phase 4, plus we are also witnessing new technologies like semiconductors, nanotechnologies, the rise in chip industries, electric vehicles, etc. In all these industries, we require such types of minerals which are getting exhausted on the earth. So now, which is that place from where we can get these minerals? This place is basically the oceans. So in a way, we can say that these ocean minerals will help us in industrialization, providing employment and all these activities. But obviously, there are certain ecological issues associated with deep sea mining. For example, let us see this diagram closely. For example, this particular line shows the process of deep sea mining going on the ocean floors. So let us say that there is a vehicle which is mining the mineral from this ocean floor. So obviously there will be certain releases from this vehicle, which we are saying it as the collector plume. So these plumes will get developed in these oceans. Similarly, let us assume that this is the ship which is carry forwarding all these operations. So it will also be discharging certain wastewaters. This wastewater will again lead to creation of several plumes in these oceans. These plumes are nothing but basically this is the disturbances in the water which will lead to destruction of the natural habitat of the marine organisms. These are the certain mid-oceanic ridges which have massive sulfide deposits. Similarly, the sea mounts have massive cobalt crusts. So you can see here also, this is just a pictographic representation of all these things. Similarly, the noise pollution will also be created. So basically, we can say that primarily there will be three types of ecological issues or the reasons which can lead to such destructions. One is the sea floor disturbances. Second is the sediment plumes, and third is the pollution. So when we talk about the disturbances of the sea floor, we can understand that the digging and the gauging of the ocean floor by machines can alter or destroy the deep sea habitats. For example, this particular machine is doing over here. This can lead to loss of species, many of which are found nowhere else, and the fragmentation or loss of ecosystem structures as well as functions. Similarly, the sediment plumes or the stirring up of the fine sediments on the sea floor can create these plumes of suspended particles. Further, these species such as whales, tunas, sharks, etc., could be largely affected by the noise pollution. So these are certain issues associated with deep sea mining. We need to understand that the sea floor contains an extensive array of geological formations. We have read these things in our basic geography classes. These include abyssal plains, sea mounds, oceanic ridges, etc. Further, the hydrothermal vents are also there. So basically, all these ecological areas are unique in a sense because they experience very low temperature as well as very high pressure. So that means that these species are exposed to very harsh conditions. We understand that there will be no sunlight reaching to the bottom of the seas. So obviously, because there are unique ecological conditions, therefore the species which will be developed in these areas will also be unique, which can never be found anywhere else on this planet. So that is why all these issues will threaten all those unique species which are found in all these unique ecological habitats, and that is why it becomes the matter of grave concern. So in this relation, we should see that what can be done. First of all, under UN clause, that is United Nations Conventions on Laws of Seas, all these areas and their resources are considered as the common heritage for the mankind. That means humans are collectively responsible as well as accountable for this common heritage. And it cannot be left on the whims and fancies of any company that whenever they feel so, they can dig any resource from the deep seas. And that is why it is said that three principles must always be followed while digging such resources. One, that all the stakeholders must support each other for scientific research and development in this field. Second, the economic benefits must be mutually shared among these shareholders. And third is important, protection of marine environment, which means that while sharing these economic benefits, the marine environment must not be disturbed. And therefore, in common language, we can see that these principles are basically based on sustainable development. That means economic benefits as well as preserving the ecological habitats of these species. So in 2021, IUCN World Conservation Congress was held, whereby it suggested that deep sea mining can be done only when certain conditions are fulfilled. So now what are those conditions? First, it says that all the associated risks of mining in that particular area is properly understood. Second, there must be transparent and objective impact assessment of all the projects which are taking place in that particular area. Third, there must be the implementation of precautionary principle as well as polluter spray principle, which means that whosoever is polluting or if the activities of any company is polluting this marine habitat, then there should be the paying principle associated with it, which must be in a form of certain penalty or compensation mechanisms, all those types of activities. But the polluter must pay for the pollution which it is causing. Next, during all the stages of project planning as well as implementation, the public consultation must be there, which means that these planning or these projects must be inclusive in nature. And last, it says that there should be transparent and accountable marine governance in these projects. So, these are certain things which must be followed while taking the deep sea mining. Obviously, mining codes need to be built upon these principles. In line with this, we shall discuss that what is International Seabed Authority. So, such factual informations are relevant when it comes to the prelims examination. International Seabed Authority is basically an autonomous international organization established under United Nations Conventions and Laws of Seas. An important fact. It is an autonomous body established under UN clause. Its headquarters is in Jamaica. It is the organization through which the state parties to the UN clause organize and control all the mineral resources related activities in the areas for the benefit of humankind. And that is why the mandate which it serves is the effective protection of the marine environment from harmful effects related to obviously the deep sea activities. And also according to the UN clause, Article 156 clause 2, all the state parties, important point, all the state parties to the UN clause are ISPO facto members of ISA, that is International Seabed Authority. This point we have already discussed. Further, the area covers around 54% of the total area of the world's oceans. So, these are certain factual informations related to the International Seabed Authority. So, in this topic, we have understood the key facts related to ISA, what can be done in relation to the deep sea mining and all the concerns associated with it in terms of pollution, in terms of destruction of habitat, etc. Now, in end, we shall look at this map also. This map basically shows certain areas whereby deep sea mining is in operation. There are several countries, for example, Germany, China, Japan, Belgium, France, etc., which are involved in deep sea mining activities. Further, if you closely look Indian Ocean, so in this region also deep sea mining activities is taking place. Government of India is also doing this activity. And these deep sea mining operations are basically done in order to extract three things. One, polymetallic nodules. Two, cobalt rich ferromanganese crusts. And three, polymetallic sulfides. Now, what do you mean by polymetallic? So this is basically a substance which is composed of a combination of different metals, for example, zinc, manganese, sulfides, etc. So different combination or different substances are together found in this particular one substance, and this is basically the polymetallic, also known as in chemistry as polymetal. So this was all about this topic from prelims as well as mains perspective. This topic is in relation to the Vaikom satyagraha. As we all know that this year the whole country is celebrating the 100th year of Vaikom satyagraha. This 1923 period is very important, and today we are in 2023. As we all are aware that during our struggle for independence or freedom, we have witnessed several socio-economic as well as political reforms happening in India. And one of those socio-cultural movement was related to the Vaikom. Now this Vaikom is a religious town located in Kochi. That point of time it was a part of Travancore kingdom. Now at that point of time this Travancore kingdom witnessed a very extreme form of untouchability. In this Vaikom town there is a Vaikom Shiva temple, and that is why this Vaikom is also known as the Varanasi of the south. So at that point of time, what happened was that the untouchability in extreme form was practiced. and the untouchables or the low caste Hindus were not allowed to enter into the temple premises. And not just the premises, they were not even allowed to enter to the roads which were surrounding the particular temple. So they could not enter to these roads also. Just imagine the kind of society we were living at that point of time. So that is why, in this regard, in 1921, a person named T.K. Madhavan approached Gandhiji, met him, and asked him for his guidance and support. Mahatma Gandhi agreed to give his guidance. And that is why, because of Gandhian involvement in this Vaikom Satyagraha, several upper caste Hindus also participated very happily. So that was the change which was brought by the Gandhian involvement in the Vaikom Satyagraha. And as a piece of advice, Gandhiji gave the advice to have a non-violent civil disobedience movement. But later on, however, the strategy was changed and he said that Satyagraha needs to be practiced. That is why it is known as Vaikom Satyagraha. So, as a political movement next from the INC, in 1923, the Kakinada session was started. During this session, INC passed a resolution which aimed at eradication of the untouchability. In the same session, it was declared that temple entry is the birthright of every Hindu. So, it is not the matter of the status of the caste or the varnas. Temple entry basically will be the birthright of every Hindu. Further, this session gave the task for the Provincial Congress to launch the movement in relation to this Vaikom controversy. And as a result, INC also set up the Untouchability Eradication Council under the chairmanship of K. Kelappan. Now, this name is very important. Further, despite the fact that this Vaikom Satyagraha was a religious movement, it also garnered this support from various other religious communities, including Christians as well as Sikhs. Akali group of 15 members, which was led by Lala Lajpat Rai, also participated in it by providing the vegetarian fooding for all the people who were going to the satyagrahis in various ashrams. Further, E.V. Ramaswamy Naikar, who is also known as Periyar, also went to Vaikom when several other leaders were arrested. Gandhiji arrived in Kerala in March 1925 and held the discussion with all the sides. He met also the Maharani of Travancore. Basically, Maharani of Travancore was an orthodox Hindu. He also met the local Congress leaders and negotiated a settlement by which government agreed to revoke all the prohibitory orders which were made in the context of this Vaikom Satyagraha controversy. The government removed the barricades, but the Satyagrahis had also to accept to not enter to the prohibited roads. Satyagraha continued for almost 8 months and forced the government to give the further grants. Further, the road around the Vaikom temple, except for two lanes leading to Eastern Gopuram, were opened for all the castes. And following this Vaikom Satyagraha was called off. The Satyagrahis gained access to some roads around the temple and no right to enter the temple. Now, this is very important. They got no right to enter to the temple despite this Satyagraha. That is why it is said that despite the limited success of the Vaikom Satyagraha, it triggered similar movements in region demanding entry inside the temples and eventually paved the way for Temple Entry Proclamation of 1936 that granted the lower castes the right to worship in Hindu temples. So that is why this Vaikom Satyagraha is very important. This topic has appeared in today's The Hindu Delhi edition. The topic reads Bandipur completes 50 years as the Project Tiger Reserve, traces legacy to Maharajas. That means this topic basically is dealing with Bandipur Tiger Reserve and Bandipur National Park. So in this relation, we all know that the prelims examination, almost every year there are 1 to 2 questions which are asked in relation to the national parks, wildlife sanctuaries, their locations, their features, etc. So that is why in today's session we will discuss all these things in relation to the Bandipur National Park. So as you can see, the context that Bandipur has completed 50 years as a Project Tiger Reserve, and this project was launched during the Prime Minister Indira Gandhi's tenure. Further, you can also see that in 2017, 2019, as well as 2020, the questions are asked from these themes. For example, in 2017, if you closely analyze the question was asked in relation to the location of these tiger reserves or national parks, basically the protected areas. The question said that from the ecological point of view, which one of the following assumes importance in being a good link between Eastern Ghats and the Western Ghats? So that means this question expects from you that you should know the locations of these protected areas. Now come to question asked in 2019. Which of the following are in the Agasthamalai Biosphere Reserve? So, obviously, in one biosphere reserve, there are a lot of national parks, reserves, wildlife sanctuaries, etc. So, again, this question also can be classified as a question based on location of these protected areas. In 2020, the question was asked, it was a factual question in relation to the critical tiger habitat, basically, again, related to the national parks. So that is why in today's session we will be dealing with key aspects and features of the Bandipur National Park. Now this is basically the map. So if you closely see, this is the location of Bandipur National Park. Now this Bandipur is located as a tri-junction of 3 states, that is Karnataka, Kerala as well as Tamil Nadu. Further, near Bandipur there are other protected areas also, for example Nagarhor National Park, Silent Valley National Park, Indira Gandhi National Park. So this location is important as far as this news is concerned. Now we shall look at certain key facts which are there in today's news. So it starts from the historical background. It says that when the Project Tiger was launched, there were just 12 tigers in Bandipur. However, today the number has increased to 173. Now, this shows a significant increase and also proves the mettle of the India's conservation efforts as far as the tiger population is concerned. If you need to trace the historical background of creation of this national park or tiger reserve, you will come to know that Maharaja of the Kingdom of Mysore created a sanctuary in 1931 and named it as Venu Gopal Wildlife Park. When the Project Tiger was launched in 1973, then this wildlife park was transformed into Bandipur Tiger Reserve. So Bandipur Tiger Reserve is basically a national park located in the Indian state of Karnataka. We have seen that how is it located at the tri-junction of Karnataka, Tamil Nadu as well as Kerala. It is surrounded by Nagarhole Tiger Reserve, Karnataka in the northwest, Madumalai Tiger Reserve, Tamil Nadu in the south, Wayanad Wildlife Sanctuary, Kerala in southwest. Now, these tiger reserves and wildlife sanctuaries are important because these three plus this Bandipur Tiger Reserve, these four together are a part of Nilgiri Biosphere Reserve since 1986. This Nilgiri Biosphere Reserve is in turn a UNESCO's World Heritage Site and one of the largest biosphere reserves in India. Further, there are three important rivers in the context of Bandipur Tiger Reserve also. Kabini River lies in the north, Moyar River lies in the south, and Nugu River flows through the park. So let's say this is the park, this is Nugu, this is Kabini, and this is Moyar. The highest point in the park is on the hill called Himavad Gopal Swami Beta. So coming to the physiography, this park is basically located where the Deccan Plateau meets the Western Ghats. And therefore, this park has a variety of biomes including dry deciduous forests, moist deciduous forests, as well as shrublands. As far as flora and fauna are concerned, it has a huge variety of teak, rosewood, sandalwood, Indian laurel, giant clumping bamboo, etc. Further, it also houses leopards, Indian elephants, gores, cheetahs, sambar, barking deer, sloth bear, and a lot of many more birds and reptile species. So these are certain key facts as far as the flora, fauna, its rivers, physiography, its historical evolution, etc. is concerned in relation to the Bandipur Tiger Reserve. This topic has again appeared in Indian Express Explained section. The topic reads, why is Britain joining the Trans-Pacific Trade Pact? TPTP. Its formal name is Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership. That means CPTPP. Now, the immediate context is, as the headline is showing, that Britain is also joining this regional agreement. So that is why this topic becomes important for the upcoming prelims examination of 2023. And that is why we shall discuss certain key facts related to this organization. This is a very small topic but important because its membership is very diverse. It is basically a free trade agreement that was signed in 2018 between 11 countries. These countries are Australia, Brunei, Canada, Chile, Japan, Malaysia, Mexico, New Zealand, Peru, Singapore, and Vietnam. Important point is that India is not the member of this organization, and Britain will become the 12th member and the first to join since the partnership inception. All the CPTPP countries will have a combined GDP of 11 trillion pounds, which is approximately equal to 15% of the global GDP once the Britain will join. Further, it does not have a single market for goods or services, and so regulatory harmonization is not required. Now, obviously, this is a very brief topic. I agree that India is not the membership of these organizations, but if you go by previous year question paper analysis, you will see that in 2016, the question was asked in relation to the Gulf Cooperation Council. Again, India is not the member. And the question was related to the membership of this particular organization. The question asked you that which of the following is not a member of the Gulf Cooperation Council. The correct answer to this question is A, Iran. But obviously, this gives us a hint that there are certain regional organizations which are important. So, because this regional organization is in news these days, that is why you need to know that which are the members of this particular organization.